everyone, and welcome to the Lady Black Kaleidoscope Project. It's your girl Tracy. Happy Monday, everyone. I hope everyone had a good weekend. So today we are going to talk about, or I'm going to talk about, called Songbird-My musical journey. So I'm a musician, and if you don't know already, now you do. I'm a musician. I don't just appreciate music. I actually have played it, performed it, and even written a little bit of it. So let's talk about my beginnings. Okay, so when I was little, I was always making noises and doing everything. And then when I think anytime my mom would take me to like the flower show or the home show and there was a piano somewhere, I would just bang it. Just bang it, bang it, bang it. My mom's like, maybe she likes music. And so she put me in this early childhood music program at Temple University. And it was like on Saturdays. Like I think I was in kindergarten. And we, the one thing I just remember was like we would do a lot of call and response, and one of the things was like ba 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 ba, and then we had to do ba 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 ba. That's the only thing I really remember from that. But it was to introduce me to music, and I was in a performing arts troupe at a Christian academy down in Southwest Philly that I would go on Saturdays, and I did that for a few years, like from maybe like 4 to like 7, so like pre-K to first grade. And I took group piano lessons when I was in first grade. And then my mom was like, no, she needs individual. So then I went to Temple again in second grade. And I took individual piano lessons just for a year. And then third grade, that's when it got really exciting because at school, I could be a part of the glee club or the choir. That's what they called it, choir. And so we all had to, we had to audition, but not really audition. She just wanted to see, my music teacher, Ms. McGarvey, wanted to see what our voices were, like what our range was. And so, funny story, all the girls in front of me, when they auditioned, they were all sopranos, and it was open. We all saw what each other got. And so they were all sopranos, and then I was the last girl to go, and then I sang my little thing, and she was like alto, and I was like, I don't want to be an alto. I want to be a soprano like the rest of the girls, because all the boys were altos. And at that point, I was like, I don't want to sing with the boys. I want to sing with the girls. I'm a girl. I want to sing with the girls. And so, but I was an alto. My voice could not go. So even when I was a little girl, I always had a lower voice, which, at the time it took me years to kind of really get used to that. So I would always sing lower parts and everything like that. Cause I was like, why would a girl have lower parts? We're girls. We should have higher voices. But that's the way my voice was made, even when I was a little girl. So third grade was also a cool time as well, because the next year, fourth grade, I got to be in my school band. But in third grade, I wanted to decide what instrument I wanted to do. So we went to the library, got books on the orchestra, and I narrowed it down to 2 instruments, the flute and the clarinet. And I decided on the flute because it was pretty. I mean, pretty, pretty simple, things. Well, it just looked pretty and it sounded pretty, so I just chose that. So I chose the flute. And so in fourth grade, I joined band, and someone from my Girl Scout troop, their older sister, played the flute, and they weren't using it anymore, so they let me borrow it, and I did that for a year. And then in fifth grade, I bought my own flute. But the first day I got the flute, I held it the wrong way. I held it this way, and I was blowing, and it wasn't working. Like, no noise was coming out. I remember I was like, why isn't this working? This needs to work. And then when I was learning it, then the teacher turned it around, because this is the way it's supposed to be. and I felt really salty. Salty is a Philly term meaning when you have your foot in your mouth, which I have all the time. I perpetually have my foot in my mouth. So when I use salty, that's what I mean. It's spelled like salty, but people say salty. So I say salty. But anyway, so you'll hear that word a lot because I tend to be salty. So I was playing a flute like this. And it's actually, the flute is actually a really good instrument. If you're left-handed, it's actually a really good instrument to have, because it is actually helps left-handers, because most instruments, like string instruments, even the piano, like the melody with the piano is always on the right hand, and you on the left hand always have to play the lower parts, the bass parts, the treble parts are in the right hand and stuff. So, but the flute, the melody for once is using the left hand, and then the right hand does all the other stuff. So it's the keys, you use more of your left hand than your right hand. So it's actually an instrument that is favorable to left-handers. I'm left-handed. Hi, is my left hand. So I did that. I played in the band for 5 years up until 8th grade, and then I was in Glee Club, or choir. Sorry, I didn't have Glee Club till I was high school, but choir, I was in that, and we sang it. We had performances, and we sang at all the masses and everything. We sang. We used to sing for the old sisters at the infirmary. Anyway, but the school that I went to, my grade school, was incredibly progressive when it came to arts education. It was founded. It was School of Holy Child Jesus in Drexel Hill, and it was founded by Cornelia Conley. The religious order who ran the school was Sisters of Holy Child Jesus, and it was founded by Cornelia Conley, and she was a mother before she became a nun, and she was incredibly progressive in terms of like arts education. So we had art 3 times, I think twice a week. And then I had music 2 or 3 times a week every single year I was there. So from 1st to 8th grade, I always had arts education. It was super important. And unlike most schools in this country, in America, my grade school really, really drove home. Everybody took it, whether you were a jock or not. Everybody had to take music. So it was really cool that they had that. So it was, I mean, I had a great time in school. It's always fun to like develop and grow and see where you're going to be and everything like that. One cool thing that I got to do in 5th and 6th grade was I got to participate in the Arshausen Choral Festival, which was basically just a bunch of kids from 4th to 6th grade. It was about 150 kids from different schools, elementary schools, Catholic elementary schools, whether they would be private or just Arshausen, from around the region, and we all sang. And it was cool. I was excited because I was like, new people, because I had been with my classmates all day. All of them, when we would go to the Arshausen Choral Festival, we performed at a high school, and then we performed with everybody, the Arshausen all Catholic elementary band, all Catholic high school choir, band, and orchestra at the Academy of Music, which was a big deal. So that was exciting. But I was all excited because I was getting to meet new people, so that was fun. And a lot of these people, I actually ended up meeting them in high school. We went to high school together, so that was kind of cool. And it was fun to meet new people, and it was fun singing, and it was fun to just kind of get out of my small little bubble of Holy Child. So that was fun, and that was a highlight of that. And the music department was really good because another cool thing about the music department at my grade school is that in 3rd grade, we got the recorder. I don't have my recorder. I have no idea where my recorder is. And then in 7th grade, I made a dulcimer. Here it is. It's really dusty because it's 25 years old. But this is my dulcimer that I made. It's pretty badass. Personally, I think it's like, that's not how you play the dulcimer. You play it on the lap, and then you have this thing, and then you do this. Yeah, so that's how you play the dulcimer. But I made one. I made this in 7th grade. So that was cool. And that was around the time when I discovered the Beatles, and I told you guys about that last time, my love affair with them. So that was cool. And then, as I was, so I started playing piano again when I was in 6th grade. And I did that to ninth grade. I went to a different school, went to Settlement Music School, and played that for 4 years. But I just wasn't feeling it. I mean, typically every child, plays the piano. That's typically the first instrument that we all learn as musicians. We learn the piano. But it wasn't my instrument. As much as I love the piano and I love hearing it, I don't know, I just wasn't into playing it. I learned more and more that I really liked singing. And I just loved singing. It was fun. It was fun singing with a group of people. I realized that I was more of a vocalist than an instrumentalist. So I ended up quitting piano. I just wasn't into it. And I stopped playing flute in the 8th grade. I played a little bit in 9th grade, but I didn't continue it that much into high school. So when I was looking at high schools, I basically based my high school choice on whether they had a strong music program or not. And the high school that I went to, Mary and Mercy, had an incredibly strong high school program. I was just sold. I was just because it was a program where you could take it every single day. You could take music sophomore, junior, and senior year. You could take it every single day, and I was super, super excited for that possibility. So and there was a music scholarship too. I was ooh, So I auditioned for that using my flute. I was not up to par, but I auditioned anyway. I did the best I could. And of course I didn't get the scholarship. I got an academic one instead, which was pretty badass. So my grade school experience with music was it was so fun, and it was so colorful, and it was so exciting, and it continued to be that way. And I always saw myself as a musician, and I was known as that. I was a musician in my grade school. We had people who were jocks and stuff, but I had an incredibly small grade school. I graduated a class of 23, one class of 23. So I was known as the music person because I did the most music. I was most involved. There was one kid who did music and sports, but I was just strictly music. And I did the musical, the school musical, 5th, 7th, and 8th grade, which was fun. And I got to sing. In 7th grade, it was really cool. When I really realized that I had a decent voice was when I sang Home from The Wiz. And of course, thankfully, I was the only black person in that musical. So luckily, it was Kids on Broadway. It was a musical review featuring songs from musicals that featured or were about children. So Home was from The Wiz, Dorothy, everything. So I sang that. And it felt really good kind of having a solo on me. And that's when I realized, I actually have a pretty good voice. So that's why I chose to focus on my voice, because I realized I got applause. It was nice. And plus I just really liked singing. So yeah. So my grade school experience was great musically. And now we're going to move on to my adolescence. So adolescence. That's high school and college that I'm going to talk about. So high school, okay. So during the day, it was terrible because I experienced a lot of microaggressions and stuff. I was the only person in a lot of my classes, my honors level classes, which were all the classes I had. And music was the one class during the day where I could breathe and I could just enjoy and be in the moment and really enjoy music, because we were talking about music. We were learning about all different kinds of music. I didn't care. It was just great. It was a great way to just breathe for a little bit. And then after school, that's all I did. Well, I did other stuff. I did yearbook and other things like that. But most of my extracurriculars were music. And the way that the music department was, it was your life. That's all you did. You really didn't do anything else. You didn't have time to do anything else. You might have had time to do one other activity. And it probably wasn't a sport. So the music department, we were our own little clique. I mean, it was maybe 100 girls who were active in the music department of all 4 years, and we were all a little family and everything like that. And so I did Glee Club, I did Chorale, which was a select Glee Club, which I talked about last time. I did Liturgy Club, which was the club that sang at liturgies, and I did the show, the musical, the winter spring musical. I did that, and the main reason why I did the musical because I wanted to sing. I just loved singing, so it gave me another opportunity to sing, and it was great. I had a really great time. I mean, and it was good because boys would come, because I went to an all-girls high school, so we would invite boys from like the prep and like LaSalle. These are other boys' schools that to come in. So it was my interaction with boys, teenagers, hey. So there was a lot of flirting going on in there, but it was fun. I mean, we were just singing and we had a good time and everything like that. So outside of school, I was in this room, and that's when I discovered everything possible about music, about modern music, because the Beatles, as I said last time, like opened so many doors to me. And luckily, at the time that I was growing up, it was near the end of the millennium when I was in high school in the late 1990s. So VH1, if anybody still watches that channel anymore, they had tons and tons of countdowns. 100 greatest artists of rock and roll, 100 greatest women of rock and roll, 100 greatest songs of rock and roll. And I just learned so much stuff. And it kind of made sense because they were songs that I heard when I was younger and growing up, and I didn't know who they were by. And then I learned who they were by, and I would just make mixtapes. My friends, they say that my mixtapes are kind of legendary because I would just make them for everyone. And then when I was in college, I made mixed CDs for everybody. Like, that was just the easiest gift because I had so much music. I had a lot of CDs. And then once, downloading came around, I had, a lot of songs on that. And so I just had this huge library, whether it was from CDs or songs on the computer. It was such a rich time, even though that was, like, music was my boyfriend. Music was my best friend, because I didn't really have a lot of friends out of school. I didn't have any friends outside of school. So, yeah. My first concert, that's another thing I should talk about. My first concert, backtrack, was Luther Vandross with my mom. It was so great. I screamed the whole time. It was weird. I was like 10 years old, and all these like 40 and 50-year-old women were like, Luther, Luther, Luther. But I screamed too because it was good. It was great. It was a great concert. I think In Vogue was his warm-up or something. I'm not sure. But it was great. And then the next concert I went to was No Doubt. And I loved Gwen Stefani. I still love Gwen Stefani. That was great too. I didn't go to a lot of concerts growing up because I didn't have the money. And my mom didn't have the money. But yeah, so that was exciting. So it was just a wonderful time. It was a fruitful time for me to just learn about music. So then when I went to college, when I was looking at college, I looked at colleges. I made sure I wanted to sing. So I wanted to make sure I looked at colleges that had good a cappella communities. I wanted to be a part of that. And so I found Barnard. When I looked at Barnard, I saw that the Barnard-Columbia a cappella community was decent, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go. So I did go, and it was great. And but here's the thing about going to college and going to a big college in New York City. It's incredibly competitive. Incredibly competitive. So I didn't look at conservatory because I knew I had other interests outside of music, and it was just too competitive, and I was not up to par. I didn't take voice lessons because I was a rebel, and I was like, I don't need voice lessons, because all the girls in my high school, a lot of them had voice lessons, and they were training to be musical theater people, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. I'm more like bluesy and jazz and contemporary, so I didn't want to do that. I didn't get a lot of solos in high school also, because I was an alto. But because there were so few of us, I started this whole like cult, this chant of like alto power, because I felt like, musically a lot of times we were overlooked because all the solos and all the melodies and all the stuff went to the sopranos or maybe the seconds, but the altos, we were just kind of like, there was so few of us. It was just like 2 or 3 of us, and then some people, my music teacher would get seconds to be in altos because there were just it's hard to find a female alto who has a decent alto voice because most people are soprano. So, so that was it. So when I went to college, it was incredibly competitive, but I thought I would win the day and whatever. So when I looked at when I was looking at that, I auditioned, and I didn't get into an a cappella group until I was a sophomore. Fall of my sophomore year, I wanted to get into co-ed a cappella groups, but I got into all female, which I didn't want it, but I wanted to sing. But the interesting thing about college is because I had different interests. Because I had those different interests, and it took me so long to get into acapella, and then I started off as a music major, but then I wasn't satisfied with the program, and because it was very Western classical based, and I wanted to do something else. I wanted to do something that was more modern. I discovered ethnomusicology, which was incredible because I had this professor, Chris Washburn. I took popular music in America. It was an 8 a.m. class, Tuesday morning, day after Labor Day, first day of the semester. First thing I heard, Honky Tonk Woman by the Rolling Stones. And I was like, this is going to be the best class ever. Like, this is life. I love you. I had 2 other classes with him because I just loved him so much. And I was like, oh my God, finally contemporary music. Love this. So, but I tried to create my own major in ethnomusicology, but I ended up making my minor. So I graduated with a sociology degree. So because of that, I started to get away from music. And because it took me so long to get an acapella, I had to find another identity. And I was in crisis because I was like, who am I without music? If I have no performing outlet, who am I without this performing outlet? And I had to find other things. I found Dance Marathon, thank the Lord. I love that. It gave me an opportunity to perform in a different way, and it was for a good cause, so that was great. But as I slowly started to get further away from music, and and honestly, it was good because it made me more well-rounded, because I had to find other interests outside of music, because I was a music person from first grade to 12th grade. I was the music person, and I was always that music person. So it was nice in college. I was still a music person, and I was a music major until I was a senior when I switched to sociology. But I started to find another identity outside of it, and that was really, really important for me. I think that was good for me. Music, it is what it is. And, but that was something that I noticed in college. I started to get away from it. So let's talk about, finally, post-college. What have I been doing post-college? Music has been very much a sideline because life has happened. And I've talked about that in my other episodes. Like, life happened, and so music wasn't my priority anymore. I wasn't doing it. It's hard to find those outlets, when you have other things to do. And plus, I didn't have jobs. I didn't have consistent jobs, so I couldn't pay for lessons and everything like that. So all I've basically been doing is listening to music and still, making those mixtapes or mix CDs. I used to do that. I haven't done it in a really long time. But I have discovered my ukulele. I discovered that when I was like 25. And I played that through my late 20s, through my early 30s, and then I stopped because life happened again. And I did perform once, like when I was in City Year, and then once at a open mic at a Unitarian church, and that felt good, so good doing it. And I remember when I performed at the Unitarian church, I sang I Can't Make You Love Me by Bonnie Raitt, and after I was done, I went straight to the back and hid, and my friend came and found me, and I was just like, oh my God, what did I just do? Because I hadn't performed in a really long time. So, but it felt good. It was a thrilling rush to do that, so it was great. Yeah, I hope to get back to it. I want to, now that things are a lot calmed down. And I think I'm choosing between the cello and the drums, both inspired by the Beatles, of course, because I love Ringo and the way he does his drums. I'm always doing this. And plus I have a lot of energy, so I feel like I need to bang it all out. But the cello, so beautiful. You hear Eleanor Rigby. Listen to that song. It's an incredible song because of the arrangement. That cello is just, it's like another level. It's another level. So, yeah. So, okay. So, get ready, kids. Because I'm going to sing you a song in the public domain because I don't want to get sued. And it is called Lift Every Voice and Sing. It's by James Weldon Johnson, and who did the lyrics, and his brother Jay Rosamond Johnson, who did the music. The lyrics, it's a poem. That was written in 1900, and then the music was made in 1905. And it's called a Black National Anthem because because of the lyrics. It really is about the African American experience. I think the NAACP is like, this is our national anthem. So I hope you enjoy. I've never done this before, singing on YouTube. And I haven't performed ever. I haven't performed, not ever. Are you kidding me? No, not ever. But not in this way. So I hope you enjoy. Okay. Ooh. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died, yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed. We have come over a way that with tears has been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered. Out from the gloomy past, till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of a bright star is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou hast by thy might lead us into the light. Keep us forever in the path, we pray. Lest our feet stray from the place, our God, where we met thee. Lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadow beneath thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land. Thank you for listening. Like, subscribe, love, share, join the party. And remember, keep on keeping on. Live out loud and embrace your kaleidoscope soul. Bye, everyone.